Welcome back, Kentucky Sports Radio, here live at All Sports in Lexington on the Blue Lights Across the Bluegrass Tour. Now joined by, we talk about a great entrance coming in. Coach Mark Stoops. Coach, what are you thinking on a Tuesday or Thursday morning? Look at this crowd.
This is awesome. A lot of blue and white. It's a pleasure to be here, and thanks for that warm welcome.
Well, glad to have you. The players report Sunday, right?
They're
officially
coming in Sunday. That's
so
right.
Are you getting antsy? You getting excited?
We are ready to go. As Coach Spurrier would say, the talking season's about over.
Yes, and you do the talking season, but you don't hate this stuff, I don't think, but I always get the feeling that like you're ready. You're more comfortable out there.
I mean this. I'm not just plugging you. I love doing your show. You know I'm better when I'm here live.
You are. Yes. I always tell people you might hear stuff that
That's right.
But you, I noticed that you tell me if I'm right about this. I noticed when you were at SEC Media Day, there are two questions you always get that when people ask you, I want to go out and punch the people hitting you. They always ask you about basketball, and then they always ask you about your brothers. Yeah. And is there ever a sense where you're just like, look, come on, I'm the UK football coach, I'm Mark Stoops. Does that ever get to you at all?
Well, only, I tell you, it got to me once at the car wash. Because we just had SEC Media Days.
Yes.
We fly to Bristol. We're going there to promote football and SEC football, and that's like the first question I got on
about basketball.
Oh yeah,
that's got to be you. But you're
I looked at him. I wanted to say, "Really?" But it was on TV. You know what I mean? So,
I've said this a bunch on the air. I'm not just saying this because you're here. You guys have brought an energy to this fan base in the football side that I haven't seen. I mean, there was some period during the air raid days where people were excited, but there's some energy like, okay, they're building this thing. And what's been amazing to me, look, y'all won 2 games last year, yet it's still there. Do you feel that?
Well, I do feel that. I felt that since I arrived on campus. I think the timing is right. I think all the people, all the fans, we're all starving for a good football program. You can't help but so I think the timing's right. I think people appreciate the hard work that the staff is putting in and what we're doing and how we're recruiting and how we're developing our players. And I like to believe, I know so many people tell me they have so much hope for the first time in a long time, and I feel that. And again, I appreciate the support, and so we're ready to go.
I want to talk to you about this year, but I just wanted to do one thing about sort of the off season. You got to work with players. The coaches got to work with players a little bit for the first time. And I am struck by the players that I know looking at the way they looked, and this includes the recruits to the guys coming back, the way they looked in January versus the way they look now. I mean, it's a whole different thing. Do you feel like you're starting to have SEC athletes now?
Well, there's no question. And if you've heard me, on the circuit talking, this preseason, that's what we talk about. We're going to recruit. That's a big thing. Just look at the success of basketball. You got to have talent. And so we're recruiting at a high level. But then you have to develop your players, and that's where we've worked extremely hard this offseason. Not only physical development, but mental. We have such better leaders. We're working hard to develop better people. And we have good kids. They just need to be better leaders and be a little bit tougher mentally. But physically, we're making huge strides. And this class in particular is fantastic. Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to start with the quarterbacks. I will later, but I won't because I know you hate that question. So let's start with the 2 guys that I think are probably the rocks of your team, Bud Dupree and Zadarius Smith.
Yeah.
I mean, those 2 guys, is there a better defensive end set in the SEC?
We're as good as anybody. I haven't analyzed each team, their depth chart that much, but I know those guys are as good as anybody. And
they're leaders, too, right?
They are. They're great kids. When I left Florida State, we had, 4 or 5 defensive ends that played in the NFL. These guys fit right in with those guys that I had at Florida
Is it
State.
fair to say the defensive line is the strength? I mean, the interior guys, you lost Mr. Cobble, you lost your guys from last year, but do you feel like Reggie Mint and Mike Douglas can come in and be there?
Absolutely, I do. I feel good about the D-line. We lost a couple guys, but they were good players. They weren't difference makers.
Yes.
The guys on the ends are difference makers. And inside it's going to be by committee until we see who's going to emerge as the guys. But we have 3-4 guys in there that'll play well. So I do feel good about the defense.
I looked last year at your team and I said, well, going into the season, the secondary is going to be a real issue. And it was an issue, but I actually thought your guys gave a lot of effort in ways that sort of, I thought they played better than I would have thought they would play.
Wow.
Am I wrong about that?
That's not. They didn't play as good as I'd like.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe my expectation was just lower. But do you feel like that is going to be better?
Definitely. Okay. Definitely. But I was not. Secondary is my expertise in and I was not real pleased with the way we played there a year ago. Like you said, at times and all that's our whole team. We were scrappy. They played hard. We need to play better, and we need to be more consistent. And I feel good about that group and the way they've worked.
While you only won 2 games, though, there were at least 3 games that a thing here or there you get, right? I mean, you have Mississippi State, South Carolina, Vandy. You guys were in those games ready and competing.
No question. We had an opportunity to win each of those games, and now we've got to knock that door
down. And all 3 of those games were on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, and all 3 of those teams are coming here this time. Yeah. Was it just coincidence that the best games seemed to be on the road, you think, or was there anything to that?
I think it's coincidence, but the thing is in this league is we all know how difficult it is. It's a brutal from top to bottom, but sometimes that helps you. You're not going to play. There's no football team or very few that I've seen over a long period of time that plays great every week. The key is when you're not playing at your best, you win. And so that's the thing in this league. You're going to catch some teams when they're a little bit beat up or a little bit down and all those things. So we just got to go play and compete and try to be more consistent each week.
Neil Brown was on here earlier this week when we were in his hometown of Danville, and he said the wide receiver position, he said, look, I mean, I love those kids, but it might have been the hardest position he had seen in Division I at wide receiver. You guys had no guys coming back last year who caught a touchdown. That's clearly going to be improved. Do you think it's going to be a substantial step up?
I do, because, again, and I don't mean to be funny or cute here. I mean, we were not very good, and we are going to drastically improve there, because all the guys were first-year guys in our program. 4 of the top 5 guys were first-year guys in our program. 3 of them were true freshmen. And a guy like Ryan Timmons, he was very good with the ball in his hands, but there's a whole lot more that goes on.
Yeah, Neil said he didn't even know where he was going. It was just he'd get it and do it.
We had to create ways to get him the ball, and I really feel good about what Neil's doing to try to get him ways. But now those guys are a year older, more mature. They understand the offense. They know how to play wide receiver. And the incoming guys look great, too.
Offensive line is not a sexy position, but it's an important position.
Yeah.
And I hear you guys, you talk about a name that came from nowhere that now he went with you to media day, this Jordan Swindle. You look at him, if you just look at his face, you'd think he's like, right. You'd think he's like a band member and not a football player.
Yeah.
But he was one of the 3 guys you took to media day. How important has he been and is the offensive line as a whole?
Well, he's been very important. And the reason I took him is because, the number one area, last year, it's all about establishing, our core values and who we're going to be and all those things and identifying all the problems we have. Well, we go into the offseason, and one of the problems we had was leadership and toughness and accountability and dependability in our program. And Jordan took that role and took command and has been a real good leader, and he's a good football player, and he's extremely tough.
You guys have a center? Yeah, I know you were worried about that. You feel good?
We're good with Toth, and we're coming along with that position.
All right. Running back looks like a strength, right? I mean, you've got with JoJo Kemp, Braylon Hurd, Josh Clemens. By the way, is Clemens going to be healthy this year, you think? Yep. All right, so those guys, then the young guys coming in as well, you feel how are we doing at running back?
We feel real good about running back, exactly. You need running backs, as you know.
You got to have a bunch. They get hurt in the SEC.
You're going to get beat up, that's right. But with Braylon coming back off the red shirt, he transferred and had to sit out last year. He's going to give us some depth. He's a guy that gives you some home run ability. JoJo was our leading rusher a year ago, and I'm really looking forward to Josh. Man, I saw that picture where he's flexing. His muscles are like my thighs. I mean, he looks like an absolute behemoth. And honestly, that's where you're recruiting well. Now, he's been here, but I can't take credit for that. But for our strength and conditioning coaches, they want to take pride in all that and everything. That's called genetics.
Yes. I remember he's the one guy, I can say it, you can't. He's the one guy in the previous administration that when he walked on campus, I said, well, now that guy looks good. I mean, I remember that. I forget to ask you about special teams, but you can do all this work, everything come into it, and then with 3 seconds left, a little skinny kid will come out there and decide the game. Yeah, Austin's how's he doing? Austin McGee's a true freshman, right?
Austin's doing really good. I was very impressed. We got the redshirt him last year, which was perfect.
Yeah,
let him on campus and work a little bit, but he's been very consistent and has a very strong leg, and I just love his attitude. So, we're looking forward to big things from him. But like you said, really, you don't know.
You don't know.
I mean, you
can't really recreate that stuff, can you?
Well, it's the same at quarterback. Everybody, guys look good. You go work them out and throw them, and they look perfect. Till there's guys blitzing and things moving and all that chaos going on in front of them, and they have to be able to deliver under a lot of pressure. And That's why you never can tell a lot of times with quarterbacks until they get in there.
Since you brought it up, not me, I wasn't going to bring it up.
I just led right into that.
But since you brought it up, the quarterback position, I won't ask you who the leader is, but it does look like I think you said Patrick Toll's the most improved player on the team since last year. You got Drew Barker, you got Reese Phillips. Where are you? You want to make a decision in a couple weeks. Am I right about that?
We do. We want to make a decision as quick as we can. And we won't be forced into making that decision because I get tired of talking about it. So when the guy takes the lead and takes charge and he deserves to be named a starter, we'll do it.
Neil sort of said each of them have strengths and each of them have weaknesses. He mentioned Tolles has got to get the ball out quicker. Barker doesn't necessarily know all the playbook and everything yet. What is the most important? If you've got no perfect part and you're trying to say which imperfect part we use, what's the most important?
Well, first of all, leadership and have command of that huddle. Okay. Be able to operate our offense and be able to represent us and be the leader of that offense. The other thing is just not making bad decisions and turning the ball over. Even last year, one of the good things we did was we did not turn it over very much.
Didn't you lead the league in fumbles, in receiving fumbles?
Yes.
And people always bring up, well, you didn't get any interceptions, but they never say that you actually got some fumbles.
Well, that's just it. I always joke, they say, well, what are you going to do about the interceptions? I'm going to say, well, you don't talk about how physical we were.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But well, that's my point.
Yeah.
It's opportunity.
It is.
You know what I mean? So you're telling me we were the most biggest, physical, toughest defense in the league? That's why we got so many turnovers? No. Okay.
All right. Well, listen, we're going to take a break. We went through the roster. We did the serious stuff. Now I'm going to ask you some fun questions. Leave fun for me. I'm not sure how much fun all of them will be for you, but you did a couple things I really liked in the last couple of weeks, so I want to talk to you about that and more. This is Mark Stoops here at All Sports, the Blue Lights Across the Bluegrass KSR Tour. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the KSR Summer Tour, brought to you by the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety, Blue Lights Across the Bluegrass, on Talk Radio 1080 WKJK.
Welcome back, Kentucky Sports Radio, here live at All Sports in Fayette Mall. It's the Blue Lights Across the Bluegrass Tour. Let me ask you, when's the last time, Coach, you got a speeding ticket? My co-host here, Ryan Lemon, has gotten like 5 in the last year. When's the last time you got one?
You know what? It is ironic. When I was walking out, my secretary handed me something, said somebody, I get my car from Paul Miller Ford.
Yes.
They got noticed that I didn't pay one of my speeding tickets.
Oh!
Wait a minute,
are you telling me there's a warrant out for Mark Stoops' arrest?
So I got that paid this morning.
Now, that would have been a good show if the police came in here and took you and Ryan both out of here. Well, good. I'm glad you got that taken care of. Now, I got to ask you.
But that's the first one in a long time.
You need to see Kentucky Department of Highway Safety here. He follows the rules. Ryan does not.
Right.
All right, now.
I just did a commercial for Highway Safety.
I've done them as well. Did you take the driver's test?
No.
You need to do that.
Promoting safe driving.
Now, you're not going to get criticism on this from me because I'm on your side. But you took some criticism from people when you decided not to do the Governor's Cup luncheon. Yeah. I understood where you were coming from on it, but I don't know if you've gotten a chance just to say it without having the press write it down. So what was your reasoning for it?
I was going back up there Friday. I'd been at ESPN Car Wash, been at
SEC Media Days.
SEC Media Days. Was speaking at Rotary. Was going to Louisville on Friday. Was speaking at kickoff luncheon here tomorrow. I mean, what more can I say?
You've said all there is to say.
So I'm going to drive an hour and a half up there, shake a few hands, do a 15-minute press conference, and come back. I mean,
for a game that's in November, right?
Bottom line is I need to win some games. So I got to get in the office and get organized and get ready to go for this upcoming season.
I agree with you on that. Let me ask you about this is on all over the state, but we started in Louisville, and of course for this show, the UK Louisville rivalry is a big thing. On the UK Louisville game, it's moved to the end. I know you don't really care when it is, but how important is that game? I mean, coaches like to say, just another game. Is it just another game?
No, it's very important. It's absolutely important, but we have 11 games before that. Is one of the reasons why you don't go promote that game in the summer. Because we have 11 other games that are pretty important.
Now you made the statement. I wanted to make sure I understood. You said if they got, I don't think the SEC is going to 9. Do you?
I don't believe so.
Okay. If it did, though, you still would want to play Louisville. Am I right about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
You like rivalries. You were down at Florida State.
Absolutely. It makes it very difficult if we went to 9 games and played Louisville.
It does.
Yeah.
Do you have a relationship
It's
at all?
not like we have an easy schedule right now.
It's not like it.
Yeah.
Do you have a relationship at all with the new coach there?
I do not.
Petrino?
I do not. No, really don't know him very well.
Well, let me just tell you, I hear great things about him. I really do. Everything I've heard is that he is an excellent person. So
I'm sure he is.
Now, the SEC schedule this year, the way the schedule works, you've got the 6 teams in the East. You've got Mississippi State. So 7 of your games every year. And then you get an 8th. And this year, of course, it's at LSU.
Yeah, we got rid of Alabama and picked up at LSU. That's easy.
But, so that one will be difficult. But yeah. I look at the schedule and I say, you guys can be quite improved. And it might not show it a lot on the schedule. So do you not judge by wins? I mean, do you just have to say we just have to judge on how we play?
Well, ultimately, anybody that's a head coach is going to get judged by wins and losses.
Yes.
And that's just the way it is. But, right now, where we're at in our program, I can't worry about all that. It's truly, how we prepare and what are we doing to put ourselves in a position to win games. We can't just fast forward ahead and say we'll take 6 wins, and what am I going to do? Just forfeit the other 6? You know what I mean? So
I've noticed you going to all these games. Like when you went to South Carolina last year, nobody gave you a chance of winning that game, myself included. And I watched, and you were as intense during that game, and you guys almost pulled it out. I mean, you have to be that way.
Well, of course, we play to win every play. Every time we go to practice, what are we doing to put ourselves in a position to win? Eventually, those things will take care of themselves.
Now, put us in your office. Okay, recruiting is such a big deal for what you all do, and so put us in your office. Let's say it's a day.
Well, you want the pitch.
Well, they're not, actually, I'd like that too. No. But what I was thinking, all right, so it's a day that X player is going to make his decision, and you think you know what's going to happen, but you're not sure, and you guys are all around. What's it like when you get the yes, I'm coming?
Yeah,
what is that moment like for you all?
Well, it's a great feeling, obviously. I think. With the drama that goes on in college football with the decisions and all those things, it makes it pretty difficult on us, to be honest with you. Now, we've won. Thank goodness.
You've won a lot.
We've won a big majority of those decisions, and so we're very happy about that. But it's a lot of excitement. All of us are tuned in. There's been a few. I go back to Drew's decision over a year ago, and I really had no idea. We felt good about it, but I really did not know. And
did you not know even at the press conference?
No, okay. I almost killed him. He walked in and had a maroon tie on.
Oh,
so when I saw that, we felt good, but we really didn't know. And when he made that decision, we were awfully excited.
And you've changed the recruiting game a little bit. I mean, you've had some recruits recently where you've gone up against big schools, beat South Carolina for Barker, beat Alabama for Elam. But there's a group of schools you really recruit against a lot. Yeah. Louisville, West Virginia, Michigan State. I mean, those kind of schools, you're kind of in Ohio going against a lot of those schools. Right. And you guys are beating them pretty consistently. Did that surprise you that you would come in and beat those teams so consistently for guys?
It surprised me the percentage that we're beating some quality schools on that quickly. Yeah.
I mean, that has been you guys have a record against some schools, Louisville, that is unbelievable when it comes to recruiting.
Well, we knew, I said that from day one when I walked in. That in the first press conference. I said we were going to recruit at a high level. I mean, that you have to. And so I felt very good with the staff that I was able to put together, and I knew we were going to be able to recruit well, but it did. Some things have come quicker than I expected.
Now, I'm obviously not looking past this year, because this year's coming and I'm excited about it. But I sense a lot of momentum building. You got a lot of stuff kind of building to 2015. A lot of people say you can really judge a coach his third year in a new staff. You've got the new stadium renovations that are coming. You're going to have the practice facility and all that. I mean, it feels like it's moving to quite a peak coming soon. Do you feel that way?
I am very excited. I just mentioned it about day to day, right?
Yes.
Even with our team and everything, and not getting too far ahead of yourself and all those things. But with that situation, I find myself getting very excited. We just had a meeting yesterday with the new complex that we're designing for the football building.
And talk about that. I don't think a lot of people have heard about that.
Oh, it's going to be incredible. It's going to be close to 100,000 square feet. It's going to be football only, and it'll have all of our offices, new weight room, locker rooms, players' lounge. I mean, the whole 9 yards. Our training facility is going to be there. Our dining table. all that good stuff. So it's going to be incredible. We're designing it right now and just can't wait.
Are you in there like an architect? Are you like using the slide rule?
No, they do all that. I just, I don't have time for all that. I'm a little ADD. I walk in there and say, let's get this done right now.
Two people I see that are very important. I look at your strength guy, Eric Corbin, who I talked to a lot at that thing Saturday night. He's a fascinating guy. He's actually very interesting, talking about how they use like Soviet and East German training. I mean, crazy stuff.
It's incredible,
And, obviously Vince Marrow, who's one of your head recruiters. How important is it to keep those guys here? I mean, is that a thing, something you think about a lot? What can we do to keep these guys here?
I don't think about that often, but it's important. I mean, to be proactive, and I treat them right all the time, obviously, and that's a big thing for me. Both of those guys, I've had a relationship before we got here. They came with me here to help build a program. They both love it here. Both of them had an opportunity to leave a year ago, and
they both. And
Eric,
that hasn't also come out a lot. They both could have gone, and both decided to stay.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. And that's got to make you feel like they believe in what.
There's no question, and they're showing loyalty, and they believe in what we're doing, and it's a big part of it to keep that continuity.
All right, last question. We're going to have a lot of people here. Probably most of these people will come to a game this year. We got a minute left. What is the biggest difference fans will see on the field from this year, besides last year?
The attitude, the fight. We showed signs of it last year, and I know everybody in Kentucky appreciates that. Being scrappy, being tough, playing with that great passion, playing with that great energy. This year's team's going to have that, and we're going to start, and we're going to never look back, believe me. We're going to be excited.
Never look back.
No, that's right.
Look how you just get so excited. I mean, he makes me excited just watching him.
Yeah.
I tell you, I was around you guys a lot this weekend. The energy you all have, I see how you get recruits. I mean, I do. Because you guys, you can just see down the line, all the coaches, how much you believe in it. Thank you very much for coming out and doing this.
Man.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
Coach is going to stick around for a little while. He can't stay forever. But he's going to stick around for a little while and say hello, so you get a chance to say hi. Thank you very much. We'll take a break. Come back. Hour number 2. This is Kentucky Sports Radio, live at All Sports in Fayette Mall.